Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome back to Blitzburg Squad. I'm Wesley Seeley, joined alongside Shane Smith. Thanks for joining us on a sad evening, night. I don't even know. I guess it's midnight.
Yeah, just past midnight.
We're just kind of recording this after the disappointing, embarrassing, disheartening, soul-wrenching, you got anything else? Loss, defeat that we've witnessed as Steelers fans, probably.
Yeah, horrible for us. I mean, congrats to the Browns. They didn't have their head coach. They didn't have a left guard. Their backup left guard went down. They didn't have their starting corner. I mean, they had a lot of stuff against them that we had that we should have been able to utilize and
take advantage of.
100%. They had a game plan and they stuck to it and did it to perfection.
And
yeah. So, I mean, congrats to them. They move on. They play the Chiefs. Good luck to them. I hope you all lose. But no, yeah. I mean,
I know the last time we were in the dance was it the Jaguars game?
Jags. And before that, our last win was the year before, and it was Chiefs, and that was where we did nothing but field goals.
Yeah. And, I'm just trying to think, not only was this disheartening loss, but just a horrible playoff loss. Yeah. Because you get there and you expect, obviously you're a good enough team to get into the playoffs, so you expect the good side of your team to show up. And it's
especially after, what was it, 9 players were rested.
Oh, right.
And then we had 2 come back from injury, which, once we dive further onto the offense, I don't think one of them should have been starting. But
right.
It's a whole nother thing.
Yes, I agree. It's just I can't remember. I felt horrible about that Jaguars game. Backtrack to when we played them, 2017, I think it was, or 2017 season at least.
Right.
We played them, and our defense was trash that season. Right. Our offense was really good because we still had Bell, Stead, Brown. We were clicking on offense, but our defense couldn't stop anybody. So it was that was just a hard game because they went up big on us, and we were just trying to play catch up the whole game. Same thing here. It was 28-0. You blink your eye, it was 28-0. It was what happened? Guys, I don't understand. Were we not prepared to play? And that's why I even said to you, we both love Tomlin, but at what point do you just scratch your head and you're like, did he not have his guys prepared? I'm being honest, completely honest. I love Tomlin, but
right, and I know there's a lot of people that are going to be calling for his head.
I'm sure.
Feekner's head, which I agree with Feekner, or Butler, or whoever's head. They're just going to be head hunting for everybody and anybody, as your knee-jerk reaction. But no, I mean, and it's like any other sport. For instance, just being a Pittsburgh fan in general for many sports, you look at hockey, and the Penguins, in and out, make it to the playoffs. But there came a point when they were making it to the playoffs, but they were losing in the first or second round, and they knew they could go further. So they fired a coach. They got rid of their head coach and moved on because they knew that they couldn't get to that next level with it. Right. And they're kind of in that predicament now, just as a Penguins. They've lost 2 with that, and there's been talks about that. So being from Pittsburgh, expecting that winning culture, expecting everybody to be prepared, and what you have, that same question has to be utilized on Tomlin too. Mm-hmm. Now, will the Rooneys ever do that? No.
Probably not.
I don't think the Rooneys fire anybody.
Well, and the thing is, it's not like Tomlin hasn't done his fair share. He's won a Super Bowl, gotten there another time, lost. Mm-hmm. They've gotten to the playoffs. We won division titles. So
never had a losing record.
Yeah. So we're doing some really good things. A lot of franchises would take that any year.
Oh, yeah. But he gets cut from us. He's signed the next day.
Oh, 100%. But you're right. It's a different standard in Pittsburgh. It's great, you made it to the playoffs, but you didn't win. Okay, there's a check on your file. Mm-hmm. It's at what point, there's such a higher standard. It's Super Bowl or bust, basically. It's
right.
I don't know. And it
might at least making it to the championship,
Right.
Competing against a team like the Tom Brady Patriots or the Chiefs and Pat Mahomes,
right.
or teams like that. And it's just you have that potential offensively, defensively, and you just come out flat.
Mm-hmm.
Time in and time out. And that goes for your head coach, that goes for your defensive play caller, that goes for your special teams, that goes for your offensive play caller. That goes for top to bottom, players, coaches, everything.
Yep. Yeah, and Mike Tomlin might be the right piece on the chessboard for us, but like you said, Fiechner, Butler, maybe those are the guys that, hey, you can those guys, and you get a better offensive coordinator, or just promote Matt Canada, and then also just get a better defensive coordinator. Maybe that solves a lot of the issues. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it makes them worse. Like, I don't know, but I think it's definitely something this offseason you have to look into for sure. But
right, absolutely. And something else, and it's something I wish people who were doing the press conference, and we just got done listening to the press conference and it wasn't brought up, is I understand your major adjustments come at halftime, but you still need to be able to do adjustments during the game.
In game. 100%.
You know, and that's a key part, in-game adjustments. Whether halftime, whether one series to the next, is that something Tomlin dictates and is control over? You know, is it his job to go to Butler and to go to Fiechner and say, listen, this isn't working, you better be changing something? Or has he basically said, okay, you've been with the system long enough, you know, Fiechner,
it's your call.
You know when to do your adjustments. Butler, you know when to do. Because that wasn't happening. They came out after halftime, and yeah, they'd made adjustments. Then the Browns made in-game adjustments on those adjustments and took priority over stuff, and it showed, and it led to them just staying that 1 or 2 scores ahead consistently to be able to stay ahead of us and beat us. And it's something where you're sitting there like, why won't you change? And, you know, that to me is where Tomlin needs to step in and do that change if they're not able to, you know, override and say, listen, Butler, you're not doing things right. Sit back. I'm taking over. I'm a defensive-minded guy already. I'm going to be making these calls, and I'm going to make a statement because our season is on the line. And it just didn't happen.
Right. No, you're right. Tomlin's never been great about, like, in-game adjustments, and I don't know. It's not like the whole pulling a page out of Bill Belichick's book, because Belichick's so good at doing that.
Yeah, and Belichick, it's like, I don't know if Tomlin's just too friendly with some of his coaches and that, but, like, Belichick has no problem. Like, Belichick got in Brady's faces many a time, like, when things weren't going well. And, like, you just don't see Tomlin doing that. Like, you're down 28-0, and Tomlin's just standing on the sideline. Like, You're lighting up Ben. You're lighting up Pouncey. You're lighting up, you know, your defense. You're lighting up everybody. Like, you're getting in their face like Cower used to.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen. It was just kind of like there was no fire. And there, you know, to start a fire, you got to have some sort of flame or some sort of ember somewhere. And it wasn't anywhere to be found.
Right. Yeah. I'm with you. Totally. 100%. At some point, you got to become the coach and not the player's coach, or like the friend. You know what I mean? It's like you just got to stick your foot down and make it a point to these guys. Like, do you realize where you're at? We're in the playoffs. Let's wake up. Let's get control. Let's do our thing. Like, I don't know. And it just never seemed to.
Yeah, no.
Never seemed to happen. Never seemed to click.
I agree, and I'm sure you might understand the same spot that I'm coming from. Like, for my real life job, I work as an assistant manager. Like, sure, I like to have a fun office. I like to, you know, get along with my employees. But at the same time, when you do something wrong, or if I have to, like, there's times when, sure, I may not get in your face and yell at you, but there's times when I will put my foot down and maybe even calmly state something, and it just doesn't happen. And you being in HR, like,
right.
I'm sure that's stuff that you have to do. Sure, it's nice to be friendly with people, but there's a point you draw the line because they pass the line.
Right.
And you got to kick them back over and
say,
no.
Depending on the situation, it's like you've got to know when to take it to the next level of, like, no, we've got to make this more serious. Like, we've got to let them know I'm taking this serious, or we need to take this seriously. I just don't know. Maybe Tomlin does and we just don't see it on camera. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it. But
right.
I don't know. You want to dive into the offense, I guess?
Let's go into the offense.
Okay. This is where we start the woes.
Yeah, started from play one.
The offensive woes. Yep. Started from play one. Like I said, I don't even know if we blinked. And it is our fault for watching this game together.
It is 100%.
We're just not. We watched it at my place, so maybe it's just my place. Maybe we need to try watching it at your place next time. We'll try it on a preseason. How about that? Maybe
yeah,
next year. Right.
When we typically lose preseasons.
Yeah,
anyways.
exactly. Maybe that's not the greatest test, but yeah, you're right. First play from scrimmage, high snap from Pouncey over Ben's head, over 6'5", Big Ben.
Yeah, that thing, like, for having a week off and getting healthier and, like, practicing all week, that is inexcusable in your first play. It's
for
not
Marquise Pouncey, how he's been in the league for what, freaking, like,
I would say close to a decade, if not.
I was going to say 12 years. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like you've been practicing all week. You've been with Ben, you're healthier, and all of a sudden you just decide, like, it's not like it's in the fourth quarter and you've had consistent pressure where they're, jumping and timing and blowing you back right off the gate. It's the first play, and you throw it to the back basically in the end zone 20, 25 yards down the field. And
we don't recover it. It
James
goes in the end
Conner
zone.
Overjumps it, goes in the end zone. Browns pick it up, and boom, right there, 7-0.
Touchdown.
That's exactly what we did to the Browns in week 5, 6,
yeah,
whenever it was. We went up, and then it was like we just didn't take our foot off the gas.
Didn't look back.
That's exactly how the Browns played, because then after that, it was we were going down. They ran like one wide receiver out, and instead of taking the pressure or throwing an incomplete pass or at the feet, Ben lofts it. There's a pick. Turn around, defense short field, touchdown. And then I don't know if it was the very next series, another pick, and another pick. And it was just.
It just was bad. Worst to worse, sir.
Yeah.
I was gonna say bad to worse, but how do you get any worse than over or a high snap and a touchdown on the first play?
And it was just anything that would work. Like, you get a 10-yard gain. Well, no, you don't, because Filer gets called for a questionable holding call, but they still called it.
Yep.
So there goes that one. You make another play. Filer, illegal man downfield. And it's like, come on.
We could not do anything right in the first quarter.
Not at all. And you're down 28-0 in the first quarter, and it just showed no signs of stopping. And honestly, like, that's on Pouncey from the get-go. And, some of those picks were a lot of people are going to throw it on Ben out of the gate, and I'm sure he'll throw it on himself. And rightfully so, but like the loft, that was definitely his problem. Couple of ones that are tipped, it's hit or miss.
Right.
It's
I know
50-50
the one that gets
ball.
tipped at the line. It's hard to put on him. Like, should he have thrown it higher? I don't know. You can't really put that on him. That's just a good play by the defensive lineman. And once it's popped up in the air, it's free game. You know what I mean? It's like wherever it lands. And like the thing that sucks is Ben's gonna get a ton of heat from Steelers fans. He's gonna get a ton of heat from probably just sports fans saying Ben sucks. He's washed up. He needs to retire. Dude threw it 68 times.
Yeah.
47 completions. Missed 21 passes there.
Yeah.
Like that's not too shabby. And I'm not trying to like plead a case for him, because some of his picks were ugly. The end one to Taki was horrible. He stared down the Ebron that one.
Yeah. He could have went anywhere else.
Yeah. That was a horrible decision, but you throw it 68 times. Yeah, you're probably going to throw some interceptions, and you're playing from behind the whole game. Well, yeah, you got to throw it, and you don't have any other option. You can't really run it at that point. You're down that much, and like I don't know. I'm going to make the argument of he didn't play his best game at all. I'm not going to say he did, but he also made some really good throws, and he had some zip on the ball. So like in my eyes, maybe didn't make great decisions, but can still make the throws.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I don't think he's done. Like I still think he's got it in him, and maybe some Steelers fans don't want to hear that, but I still think he's got it, because he's got the arm strength. Like his decision making's always been iffy. Like you go back to his rookie year, go back to his 05 year, go back to his
the 08 year.
08 years. Like, it's always been iffy. He's always thrown double-digit interceptions, like almost every season. So
right. Yeah, we didn't have Aaron Rodgers.
Right. It's not that. So you can't tell me, oh, he's thrown too many interceptions. He's always thrown too many interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
He's still got the arm strength. His accuracy might be a little off, but it's definitely doable. Like, that rocket to Chase on that post for a touchdown was nasty. I mean, he threw a ton of zip on that one. It was dead nuts. So, I don't know. I'm just going to make a case. Obviously, he didn't play a super game, but he still got it. So, for any of the Steelers fans that are saying that he's done, he's washed up, and needs to hang it up, like, I disagree entirely.
Right.
I don't know what you think, but
I would agree. It's going to be interesting what Ben decides. My biggest thing with him is our line just can't keep him scot-free, and he's got to move around. Now, he looked to move around better this game, so maybe the week off was needed. But in today's NFL, you have to be able to move out of the pocket very consistently, and there's very few that can get away with that.
Sure.
And unfortunately, because the way our line has played this year, that wasn't the case. And especially today when you put Filer back in, and I don't know what the rest of the Steelers Nation feels about Filer, but you should not have sat Dotson. I mean, Dotson was playing way better. He was ranked better. Filer's played horrible. And at the very least, take out your weakest link in Villanueva and put Filer at left tackle, because Filer's played the tackle position, so he can play out as a tackle, and you limit somebody coming in off the edge there, and it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. Ben slung it when 47 completions. That's the most. That's an NFL regular season and postseason record. For most completions in a game. He had 501 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and unfortunately for him, his streak continues. I think it's something if he passes for more than like 275 yards in the playoffs, the Steelers have not won one time. So that just kind of goes to show, like, you need more than just Ben. And most of the time, Ben's throwing this much because they're down, because of their own mistakes on offense, or their defense can't stop it, and he's got to match touchdown for touchdown, or there's no run game, and that's exactly what happened. Is all three tonight, honestly.
Running game, I mean, James Conner had 11 carries, 37 yards, 3.4 average. Benny Snell had 2 for 13, 6.5 yard average. Derek Watt actually got 2 carries. One was actually a useful play call, and the other one was absolutely senseless and ridiculous.
Right. It was horrible, and it may have worked if it wasn't for surprise, which honestly surprises me. Marquise Pouncey wouldn't have got blown 3 yards back.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, literally, Derek Watt
definitely didn't help.
Derek Watt gets the ball, and Marquise Pouncey runs into him backwards because he got pushed. And that's just, like, I don't know if something was wrong with Pouncey or what was going on, but he definitely did not play a good game tonight.
100%. That might have been the worst game we've ever seen Pouncey play.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You don't see very many bad, like, when he's the sore spot. You don't see that.
I would say from Pouncey onto our left side, they played a horrible game.
Yeah.
DeCastro and Okafor, you didn't really hear their name, and there wasn't any penalties or anything on them, so, that's...
Okafor is a little iffy sometimes, but for the most part, you're right. I think it was okay. Juju, I think, had his best game ever. I could be wrong about that, but I don't remember him ever getting over $150. 13 receptions, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, 19 targets.
Yeah, he was finally targeted a lot. Small, intermediate, and deep passes.
Yep.
And they were working. He did well. Johnson did well.
Yeah, Johnson had over 100 too, 11 receptions, 117.
I think James Washington had a pretty solid game.
Yep.
Chase Claypool showed that he could be, a dominant force. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns. I mean, what's so frustrating is you see yourselves go down 28-0, but Ben still ends up with 501 yards. You get 4 touchdowns.
Right.
Your receivers are breaking it off, and in the second half, it just seemed like you couldn't be stopped. You scored a whole 10 points in the first half, and you scored 27, and you missed at least two 2-point conversions, so it could have been 31 points.
Yep.
In the second half. It's just, I don't know, it's frustrating to see.
Yeah. I think that's what's been so frustrating to us Steelers fans is just the dink and the dunk and the short pass and the no runs and you just stall and you just can't do anything. Tip passes, knockdown passes, and it's like then you see what they do in the third quarter, I guess.
Yeah,
third quarter is when they
quarter
really
was-
turned it on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just moving the ball. I don't even know if they stopped a couple plays on. I mean, we were moving the ball efficiently, moving the ball no problem at all. So I'm with you, man. It's like, how can you literally drive your offense down the field with ease against the defense,
Right.
and then come up with only 10 points in the first half, and then allow 28 or 30, 35 or something, 36, whatever it was at that first.
Yeah,
or that
35.
35.
Yeah, it was 35 to 10 at half.
So I'm with you. It's just, it sucks to know what you can do and you just don't do it. And I don't know if that's game plan. I don't know if that's strategy, scheme.
Right. Yeah, I don't know
definitely sucks,
either.
though.
And it's frustrating because you see the play calling, and it's like, okay, you're down by this much. You have 4 wide. All of them run short routes, and it's a 3-yard gain or a screen pass. And it's like, what are you thinking? Like, sure, run 1 or 2 of them as short, like almost check downs, and just try to push the ball down the field. Like, I would rather you make mistakes pushing the ball down the field than, doing these dink and dunks and then all of a sudden you're 3rd and 10 or 4th and 5 or something like that. And it's like, come on, like, grow a pair and actually try to fulfill what we know you can do. And it was too late when they decided to do it.
That's exactly it. I mean, you start the first 5 or 6 drives, and it's like snap, fumble, touchdown, pick. Was there 3 in a row? Or pick, punt, pick? I don't know. It was somewhere in that order.
There was a punt in between because
it was a bad one.
Jordan Berry shanked it. Because
like,
that's when we were like, what? How much worse can it get?
Yeah, it's like the offense could do no right, and the Browns were starting at midfield or better almost every drive. So, I don't know. You have any idea what you're going to give a grade to this offense?
I mean, yeah, Ben ended up balling out, and it was because he had to, and I don't know what the Browns' defensive scheme change was, whether it was like, okay, we're going to play conservative and things are going to work out, because I'm sure for some Browns fans, they had to be sweating there in the second half. But ultimately, you turned the ball over 5 times, and ultimately they scored at least 21, if not 28 points off your 5 turnovers. And I think they got a field goal at the end off the talkie-talkie one that put it at a reach.
Yeah, they did.
So between 24 and 31 points off of turnovers. That's the swing in the game by far. Like, you would have blown the Browns out of the water.
Yep.
So, I mean, to me, it can't be any better than a D.
Sure. I'll give them a D+, I guess. You're right. I mean, I feel like it just always comes down to us beating ourselves.
Yes.
And, you know what I mean?
The only team that could have beat themselves, like, I don't think there's any other team in the league that has the like the ceiling that we do, but the floor that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most teams, you're like, okay, yeah, like, if they're going to have a bad game, like the football team, like, for instance, they could have a horrible game and they could score 6 points. But even their good game, like, they're probably only scoring 23.
Mm-hmm.
And you know their floor and ceiling. And that's not a huge, like, that's a big difference. But that's not, we could score 10 or we could score 50.
Yeah.
Like, we have such a difference of what team is going to come out to play. And the only way that, like you said, that we lose is by shooting ourselves in the foot, and
I
that's
feel like
exactly what we did.
I feel like it's
just
been like that in the past, I don't know, 8 seasons. I mean, it just feels like we always. I remember we'd play the Patriots games, and it's like, okay, we play a solid game, but we're gonna be the one to screw it up and screw ourselves and turning the ball over.
Except for one of those games.
Except you're right.
Jesse James caught that ball.
Yeah, yeah. Still a touchdown. Would be today.
Oh, for sure.
But it just always seemed like we're always just shooting ourselves in the foot, and it's hard to win games when you turn the ball over 5 times, and not get any turnovers. That is a horrible turnover differential.
Right.
I mean, and like you said, that is the difference in the game. So, I guess moving on to the defense, it doesn't get much better.
No, it doesn't.
Defense, they had okay. So one thing I will say for the defense, they had short field majority of this game to deal with and try to make a stand. So
right.
I understand that makes it a lot more difficult. But it was 28-0, and in those 28 points, like I said, Browns mainly had field position of midfield or better to go and score. And but the sucky thing is how much our defense has been talked up, how much we lead in the categories. I think we're total overall defense is like 3rd or something like that. How good of a defense we have and the guys that we have, and getting rested TJ Watt, rested Cam Hayward, like some guys back in the mix.
Right.
Spillane.
Terrell Edmonds back.
Yep.
Spillane back.
You would think, like, oh, it's as strong as can be. Like, yeah, we still have some missing pieces, Devin Bush, Dupree. But this is it. Like, this is how we should look. They should look good. And they just looked like trash. Could not stop Chubb running the ball. Couldn't stop Hunt running the ball. Play action. Oh, okay. You want to throw at Baker? Yeah, sure. Take your pick. This. I mean, you got 3 or 4 options on every play. It was disheartening because it's like we've seen the offense sputter, and when they sputter, the defense would stand up and help them out, and they just weren't getting that help this game.
Yeah. No, it was frustrating because even if you're on that short field, all season it's been bend, don't break.
Right.
Hold them to 3 and give your offense time to warm up to get you out of this rut. Unfortunately. And it was just Nick Chubb runs the ball. Okay, this guy breaks the tackle. Okay, well, where the heck's the next guy? Oh, okay, the next guy's there. Well, guess what? Nick Chubb just broke his tackle because now he tried to level him.
Yeah.
And you didn't go for a wraparound tackle or something like that. Or, okay, Kareem Hunt, he's bottled up. Okay, there's the one guy to do it. Oh, he's flat-footed. He gets juked out and just walks it in. We were missing tackles. We were playing lazy. We were playing flat-footed. This was, like, I don't like Terrell Edmonds at all. Like, I think he's a horrible safety. He's had spots in this season where we haven't had to call his name because he's done okay, or, well, I think he
serviceable. That's what I would say he is.
2 picks in one game. He was trash this game. Absolute garbage. There were so many times I would see him flat-footed or missing the tackle or being behind the person trying to get the ball. And it's like, what are you freaking doing, man? And then, you look at Mike Hilton and Chris Collinsworth, who is a moron, by the way.
And a half.
Like, absolute idiot, stated, Mike Hilton is our best coverage corner. Have you not watched or read up on the Steelers at all? Like, Steven Nelson, Joe Hayden, Cam Sutton, all better than Hilton. Hilton struggles in coverage, and he struggled again today. So then what did the Steelers do? Let's blitz him every play. So then what did Baker do? Okay, well, I know what Hilton's going to do. He's going to blitz, so I'm going to throw it right where he's blitzing from.
I think it was like 4 or 5 plays in a row. They just called Hilton on the blitz.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it didn't work that one. Try again.
Yeah. I mean, it was just horrible. And then you get to the second half, you make those adjustments, and then all of a sudden the Browns are like, they're refusing to take any of their linebackers out. Why don't we spread it 5 wide when we're struggling all of a sudden and fix it? So then you have Robert Spillane on Jarvis Landry, their number 1 wide receiver. Like, what are you thinking? Keith Butler, call a timeout. Keith Butler, make your in-game adjustments like you never do.
Right.
And more often than not, a.k.a. the whole freaking time, Jarvis Landry was absolutely burning Spillane. Like, it wasn't even close. Spillane would keep him for a couple of seconds. Landry would cut one way, cut the other, and boom, he was gone, wide open. And you can't expect a linebacker to do that. That flashes back to the Chargers and Keenan Allen over and over and over and over on Williams again. And that's exactly what the Browns decided to do. Like, you know what? The Steelers don't want to change anything because we're so freaking stuck in our ways.
Yep.
Fine. We'll just pick you apart this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not on Spillane for sure, but what do you expect him to do? You just trying to guard Jarvis Landry. He's a heck of a route runner. Two is, credit to where credit's due, I guess, is Browns. Okay, we said this last week. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, best duo running back in the league. Mm-hmm. And Chubb especially is a heck of a talent.
Right.
But also, too, credit also is for, I honestly think, Brown's offensive game plan. Because, at one point they brought up the stat of Baker getting off in 2.7, 2.1.
Yeah, 2.17 at one point, but he was averaging like 2.4.
Yeah, somewhere in that range of 2.5, like just a very quick release, sort of what we've seen from Ben most of this year. And that was working so well against us because it doesn't allow our blitz to get there.
Right.
Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but that's what it was. Blitzers weren't able to get there, and then they were expecting Spillane and Vince and these guys to make like a quick man coverage, I guess, on tight ends, or it's just like a simple stick route or a curl or an out route, like something in the flat. Like, oh gosh, we couldn't cover the freaking running backs in the flats.
No.
But it literally comes down to, I honestly think that the Browns just had a good offensive game plan to our crappy zone defense. Like,
right.
It wasn't until I think the third quarter that we actually did man blitz, so then we could actually get up on them and press them a little bit, get in their face, so Baker didn't have a quick read.
Yeah, and the times that we did the man, it worked.
I was gonna say
especially when they went after Sutton, it worked well.
That's when we were getting three consecutive 3-and-outs. Like, we actually started to stack some 3-and-outs and then score some points, and it was like, okay, we're gonna might make a game out of this because defense is doing their job, offense is doing their job. Looky there.
Yeah. Funny how that works, huh?
Right. That's how football's supposed to be played, huh? But, it sucks because the defense has been the heart and soul of this team all year long, just like it was last year. And just, I don't know if I go there, but to have them go and play like they did against the Jaguars in that playoff game, different defense, but almost same look. Like, you didn't probably give up as much yards, but you gave up just as many points. I think that Jaguars team put up 45 on us.
Probably.
Like, it's inexcusable, man.
Yeah, no turnovers, no sacks.
No turnovers, no sacks, no splash plays.
And the only difference is, no Bush, no Dupree, but we haven't played with them for weeks, and we've went around it. Highsmith, sure, he got injured, and Marsh was okay.
Yeah.
The big difference was no Joe Hayden, and that led you, okay, do you do Lane or the St. Pierre guy or whatever? And they didn't have Lane in at all.
Yeah,
so that just shows to how bad Lane was. They had that Pierre guy in, and I thought he was doing okay, though.
Yeah.
I felt like we needed to play man, and he's a lengthier guy that could go on the outside better. So I don't know. There's no excuse for us, and, Pierre was targeted a couple of times, and he played adequate on it. So
yep.
It's one of those things. It sucked not to have Hayden, but there's 10 other guys on the field that were starters, that were starting, that have started for many games, and they need to step up, When you're playing a fourth-string left guard, and then when he goes down and you're facing a fifth-string left guard, and Cam Hayward is not pushing him back into Mayfield's lap, there's an issue there. When you don't hear Alualu's name at all, there's an issue there. When you don't hear Stephon Tuitt's name, there's an issue there. And they were all covered every time, singly blocked. It was crap. There was no push. Walt was the only one who seemed to have any sort of heart on that defense.
Mm-hmm.
And, it showed. It just showed. This was probably Nelson's worst showing this season. And I thought he looked bad in the first 4 games of the year.
Yeah.
Minka, they had him way too deep. When it got to the point where it was short passes, quick throw-offs, and runs.
I was going to say, they
stack them in the box.
They hardly tried anything deep the whole game.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You remember any, like, deep shots?
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe one? I just, everything was intermediate, short. Like, they used our game plan.
Yeah, exactly.
And it worked against our defense, so, unfortunately, but.
Yeah. I mean, it was sad because normally on offense, we know what's going to happen. Like, we can kind of read the plays. And, sure, you knew it was going to be a pass more often than not because of what it was down. But at least, like, the routes and stuff were different. It wasn't always this short dink and dunks. There was intermediate. There was some deep, off and on. But the defense at this point, like, there was times when I was like, well, I know where Baker's going because I can see it.
Right. I mean, we called it out a couple times. Oh, Spillane's on Jarvis Landry. Here we go.
Yeah.
I was just keyed on Jarvis Landry on the screen. I wasn't even looking at anything else.
Baker could have stared him down the whole time.
And it was still getting there.
It was still going to get there because nobody else was paying any attention to it. Butler was being way too stubborn in his ways and not putting Minka up. That would have been the perfect time. Put Minka up. Just tell Spillane, hey.
Watch the running back. I don't know.
Watch the flat or act like it's man and then, try and make him cut it in where Minka's going to be there to cut him.
Mm-hmm. QB spy, something like.
Yeah. And
have Spillane do something different than man coverage on Jarvis.
When you as a person outside think that you can run a better plan than your coordinator, there's some issues because you know how to get in Baker's head more than a guy making millions of dollars do.
Sad but true.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give the defense D+ as well. I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's being generous. I don't know, but like, you at least got some 3-and-out stops in the third quarter, I guess, to make it or give our offense a shot. Offense was kind of doing their thing, but like I said, I just think like my expectation was so much higher for the defense. I think everybody's was probably because our defense has been awesome this year. Like they've been carrying the load and they've been carrying the weight with whoever's gone out. Devin, Dupree, like we're missing Joe Hayden, like whatever. Like we'll just roll with it, and we have. We've done fine. Like everybody's done a good job. And the depth that we have on our defense is awesome, but it's depressing, man. It's depressing to see our defense perform the way they did today. And kudos to the Browns, kudos to their game plan, their playmakers. But I don't know. I'll go with D+.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with D. No sacks, no turnovers, no fire, poor tackling. It led to our demise. Horrible play calling. It was just nobody wanted to play, and it was horrible. It was poor. It was, in my opinion, our worst showing of our defense all year. And when you're ranked number 3, there's a reason you're ranked number 3, and one player doesn't change that. Look at the Bucs and the Washington football team. They have a legit defense, and I'm sure they've had players go down, and they held the Bucs to 18 or 20 some points or something like that. And yeah, they ultimately lost, but they did their part because they had that fire to keep their offense, to give their offense a chance until they
and that
showed
was
up.
with Heineke, which
their fourth string quarterback.
Like just to put in perspective, like what they'd had to do and what was on the line.
And they played. Yeah, we scored 37. But I don't know. The football team made it a more interesting game than we did. I mean, the whole time we're trying to catch up, and it seemed almost far fetched, but you had that small glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
Being the fan that we are, it was like, well, there's always a possibility.
Yeah.
But 35-10 is a pretty tall order to come back from.
Yeah. I agree. Let's jump over to the special teams. I won't spend too much time on them. There was really not much to talk about. Jordan Berry shanked that punt, in the first half. Might have been the first quarter at that point, too, just to add to misery.
Yeah, my stupid X factor.
Yeah, freaking Jordan
I think
Berry.
he punted it 3 whole times. One of them was a touchback because he's an idiot.
The other one was kind of pinned, coffin cornered over that. That was
I thought it
decent
was on
one.
like the 7th or the 8th, and the refs thought it was on like the 11th or the 12th. So whatever. And then they said his long was like 59 or something, but he averaged like 41.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just
he had that good one that was on the 10 or 11, like you said, but that other one that was only like a 35 or 40-yard punt when he needed to be like a 50 or 60.
Right, when he needed
to
pin them back and actually like give our defense a lot of breathing room, it was like, nah, here's the ball on the 35 or the 40 or something like that. And it was like, you could have literally put it within like the 10.
Yeah.
Because we've seen you boot it 62 yards this year.
Right,
like,
or even just boot it, for a touchback. Like, get him at the 20 rather than the 40.
Right.
Boz made his...
He had 2 extra points and a field goal. He made...
the 49-yarder.
Yeah, he made everything. He did disappoint me, though, on kickoffs.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because he... I just wanted him to put it in the end zone because it reminded me of last week when it didn't go in the end zone.
Him, man.
Yeah.
We were just talking about Matthew Wright sucking, and we were like, we want Boz back because he can just boot in the end zone almost every time.
Yeah. And then, I don't know if that was how the game plan was set up or,
I sure hope not.
How his groin or whatever, but it seemed like any time it wasn't in the end zone and it wasn't a touchback, Browns had good starting field position.
They were getting decent returns.
30, 35-yard line. And then whenever I was like, what the heck's going on? He booted like 3 in a row right into the end zone.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so he can do it. And then all of a sudden he shorts one up to like the 5. And it's like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they were consistently on those returns getting better field position than they would have taking a knee. Or taking the touchback. Yeah, I agree. Ray, nothing really to talk about there. Nope. He didn't muff it. He didn't do anything exciting. He ends the year with no return for a touchdown, which I'm surprised. I didn't see it going that way, but is what it is.
He got clobbered.
Yeah, he just got clobbered. He just didn't find the lanes, I guess. But I don't know. You want to give a quick grade for the special teams?
I'll say a C, I guess.
Yeah, I'll join you with a C. I think that's fair. Botched punt by Barry. A couple botched kicks by Boz. Nothing exciting from Ray.
Right.
I agree. I'm cool with that. I guess just to wrap up the end of this video, maybe we'll make a separate video for overall thoughts for the season, but I guess just now that season's over, we're done, we're one and done in the playoffs. Right. I guess what's your quick, brief summary for the season or even just this game or how it went for sure?
Just a disappointment. I mean, we early on going on that 11-0 streak, we just seemed like we were something special, and then it just unraveled before our eyes. And after last week, when you held it so close, to come out and look like this, it was poor, and it's just, it's almost fitting how we were down the stretch to lose in this fashion, I don't really have I guess there's still more thoughts and stuff that I have to get collected, but it's a disappointment based on what we started and how we ended, and almost if anything fitting way to end,
right. Sure. Yeah, I mean I'm with you, man. It's it seems so weird because a couple months back we were looking at our team and undefeated, and it's we're the only undefeated team in the NFL right now. This has never happened. We've never gone this far being undefeated. 11-0, man. We're sitting good. You lose one, you lose another, you lose another. You barely win one. You lose another to finish it out. And you're like, okay, you finished 12-4, still solid record, win division. Okay, we're cool with that. Whatever. But you're right. Just how we lost those in the last game we played them and how we showed up today. I guess my best word to describe this game was kind of confusing. Maybe that's a poor choice. I'm sure you could probably think of a million others. But I'm going to say confusing because like you said, we played Mason. We played a lot of 3rd, 4th, 5th stringers. And it was a 2-point game last time in Cleveland. When it probably, I don't know if it mattered more, but at least it got them in the playoffs that game rather than they were in the playoffs this time for the win. I don't know which mattered more for them, but the last one mattered a lot for the Browns too.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to lose by 2, and then this one we lose by 11, you're like, oh, you lost by 11 to the Browns. They scored 48 points. Like, I don't know. It's just confusing. Like, I don't know what changed dramatically. I don't know why, but you're right. Maybe it is just sort of fitting to end the season how we've ended it. I mean, we just kind of unraveled. Like, I don't know what happened. I can't put my finger on it. I wish I knew, but sucks it ended the way it did, honestly. Like,
right.
We were sitting there after the game like, I cannot believe it ended like this. Like,
yeah, just
no disrespect to the Browns, but like, I just can't believe it ended like this. If it was 35-31, 34-31, close game with the Browns, okay, yeah, sure, I would have expected that, like, whatever. But just to get shellacked and never feel like you were really in it, like like you said, you had that slim glimmer of hope in the third quarter. You're like, man, maybe we'll come back. But it dissipated so quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tough pill to swallow for sure, man. Our season is over.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
No more preview and review for Steelers football until the 2021 season.
Yeah.
You know, realistically, we'll have free agency and you know the draft and things like that coming up. But
I was gonna say maybe we'll decide if we feel like it. We can make another video just kind of recapping the season a little bit more in depth, too, if we feel like it. I don't know if we will, though. This is pretty depressing. It'll probably take me a couple months to get over this loss.
Maybe something we could do after the Super Bowl or something. By then we might gather our thoughts, see who wins and things like that. So, you know, we'll still do the pick'ems every week throughout the playoffs and kind of talk about the remaining teams. And all it was holding on to in our pick'ems, if you guys don't watch it and just watch this, we decided to do a little challenge for ourselves, I guess, where if we, you know, it was based on who picked right, who picked wrong. Well, we both picked the same teams to win this week, so we said, okay, well, if 2 out of the 6 teams lose that we picked, we'll do a shot of hot sauce. Well, all it was banking on was the Steelers winning and didn't, so... Again, maybe fitting, but
maybe.
So there will be a video and whatever for that coming out, and we'll do some more pick'ems, and then maybe, you know, once the season's finalized and the champs are congratulated, there will be some sort of season recap and crazy COVID season that it was that left a lot of us, I guess, probably unsatisfied. So, because you wonder, you know. Would this game have changed at all if, you know, the governor for PA, if it would have let the Steelers have 10,000 fans instead of just basically friends and family? You know? Would that have changed? You heard some of the crowds for once at other stadiums this weekend, and boy, it was weird. Like, it was really weird hearing them. But, I mean, it made a difference, specifically like the Bills and the Colts. There was a couple of times that I think Rivers should have been called for delay of game because he was just not getting the cadence through, and they weren't hearing because the fans were so loud. And so, you know, small things like that can play a factor. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to think that it would have helped. Maybe anything would have freaking helped at this point, man. That was piss poor performance. I would like to think so, but you know what? I take it back to the Jaguars game or that playoff. This one was just so reminiscent of that game.
Right.
Ben throws a lot of touchdowns. Ben throws a lot of yards. We're always playing catch-up. But, so I should just keep going back to that game. But we had fans in that one, and we got home field advantage, like full stadium. We got shellacked. 45 to whatever. I think we finally got garbage points and made it a little bit closer. But still, it wasn't really a game right from the start. But
no.
I don't know. Sometimes you just have those games, I guess.
Yep.
And it is what it is, but
who knows? We might have a breaking news one too.
Yeah, that's another thing. Let's. I guess last thing. I wanted to bring that up. So I don't know if everybody else saw. If maybe you turned it off at halftime or third quarter, fourth quarter. I don't even know. But if you waited till the end of the game and saw the end of the game, they were still going through. I think it was after the post game interview with Baker. They took it to Ben was still sitting on the bench, and I don't know if any of you guys saw this. Ben's been through some really bad defeats in his career, But I don't think he even came out to midfield to congratulate anybody.
No.
Say good game or whatever.
He was sitting by himself at the end of that game while everybody was converted. I mean, he stayed seated where he was for
very unlike him, too.
a very long time.
So, the other thing that caught our attention, at least, I'm sure it did some people at home, was he was sitting there with
Marquise
Pouncey. And if anybody knows, when Ben hangs it up, Marquise has already made it public. Already said it. When Ben hangs it up, I'm hanging it up too. Like, Ben goes, I go. It's a package deal, basically.
Yeah.
So, and they were both crying.
They were both, like,
it zoomed in.
tears coming out.
It zoomed in on the tears. So, I just, got our wheels spinning.
Right.
Like, we're just thinking, like, hey, maybe Ben says, maybe I'm not good enough, like the Jaguars speech he had. Like, maybe he's just, I don't know. He's probably got a lot of thoughts going through his head and a lot of disappointment. But they were both crying, and, like, I don't know. It just gets us to think that maybe they're both gone. Like, speculation, obviously, but
right.
Ugh.
Yeah, because it would be a horrible way to make it your last.
Oh, that would be a horrible way to go out. I don't want to see them go out that way.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just weird to see them both sitting there together by themselves, crying after this defeat. Like,
right. Yeah, no, like that didn't happen during the Jags game. That didn't happen when, the Patriots beat them however many times throughout the playoffs.
And the AFC Championship game. Right.
It didn't happen during any of that. And now, Ben's 38, been through it almost 70 times. Tried to do everything in his power to win this, and he's on the sidelines, and he's letting it all show.
Yeah.
So you just wonder. I know he's made it public a couple of times this season. He didn't come back for himself. He's got nothing else to prove. He wanted to win it for these guys.
Yeah.
Well, they have something like 16 or 18 guys that are free agents this year.
Right.
So a lot of those guys are guys he's been around for a while. So is that when he says, okay, this was it,
Right, yeah. I thought he had said he was going to play through his contract, which goes through next season, I think, right? So he would technically still have one more season with us, but maybe he's just thinking, like, hey, this is playoffs. Like, we might go 7-9, 8-8 next year and not make the playoffs. Like, this might have been my last complete shot at it. Maybe that's just what it is, and maybe that's what him and Marquise are just soaking up. But I don't know, speculation just gets us a little bit worried because we're like, I hope you guys aren't hanging it up right now because it's not the way to go out. It's not
Puts
the way.
a lot more questions than answers.
100%. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody knows that at home, but we definitely did, and we're definitely a little bit worried about that now. So is what it is. I guess I'll be keeping my eye on that one in the news because any articles that come out maybe tomorrow. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, who knows? They might, it might not be something until after the playoffs, but
yeah,
I don't know. I'm sure all the football places and stuff like that, that's going to be the talk. There wasn't a whole heck of a lot of upsets of what you figured in the first round of the playoffs, but this was, the Browns absolutely destroyed us.
Demolished.
And so they're going to mention that, and then, they're of course going to end up bringing up that end of the game. Yep. So.
Yeah. Yep. All right, well, I don't think I have anything else to add. Do you?
No, I think that's it. This was a lengthier video than normal.
Definitely, yeah.
It's also our last Steelers one for
understandably.
a little while.
If we would have won, it wouldn't have been this long probably. So
right.
It's all about the loss. So season's over. Can't get over it, man.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks to everybody joining us on YouTube and through the podcast all year long, too. Also, just for the pick'ems and also just the Steelers previews and recaps. And like Shane said, maybe we'll do we'll still be doing the pick'ems, and maybe we'll be doing maybe a season recap after the Super Bowl or something like that. So just to go over the season because we did finish 12-4. So. Maybe we'll do something. But.
Right. Maybe by then we'll have calmed down.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Oh, man. All right. Does it deserve a Go Steelers?
No.
I love it.
I still love my Steelers, and I'll still root for them, but they do not get my typical ending here.
All right. Fair enough. Okay. Well, I guess if that's the case, then we will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.